is probably going to be really shitty. I'm hanging out at the airport in LaGuardia. I think that's how you pronounce it. In New York. Oh my God. Good thing I had a 9-hour layover. It took me 2 hours to get to one terminal to another. That's slightly exaggerating. You guys are going to have to let me know in chat if you can hear me, because if you can't, there's no point in even doing this. The stomachache issues subsided somewhat with the Valium on the way over from Denver. That settled my stomach because it calms all my nerves down. And now, Mai Tai should help. And I got food too. I needed food badly. Hey, Turbine Guy. But I wanted to stream a little because I had a moment today where I just realized stress has been getting to me. I was doing okay, handling things pretty well, till I learned that the JC has made a decision but isn't going to release it yet. And I did write Frank and wished that he just hadn't said anything. I'd rather have not known and just lived in blissful ignorance until the decision came out, because everyone now is doing what I'm doing. They're trying to read the tea leaves. They're trying to read the pig entrails. Frank's really the only one talking about it, so they're trying to see what Frank is saying and to read between the lines. And it's been so stressful. And today I just think I snapped a bit. Like, I was just completely just out of control bitchy with some people. So, sorry. I need to get a handle on that. The stress, I'm not handling it well at this point. I was doing fine until Thursday. I'm starting to crack a little bit. But now that I'm really aware of that, I can try to get a handle on it. It is what it is. I still do wish I didn't know that the decision has been made. Now I'm waiting a week for it to come out. And that's just, it's doing a mental job on me, man. It really is. And of course, my reading of the tea leaves is kind of the same as everyone else's. Now, Frank keeps saying, no, Robert, I do not live for this. I know people think I do. I know people think I'm naturally very confrontational. I'm not. I've said this before, and I'm going to be eating. So sorry. It's a mukbang too, because I need to get food in my stomach. I'll try not to be gross. I've said this before in streams, and I don't think people believe me. I hate confrontation. I actually break out in hives, and I get very sick from it. I did a whole stream actually on this about how I used to be very, very non-confrontational until there was a sermon. Oh, the liberty stuff. Yeah, I do. Okay, never mind. I thought you meant the stress. I don't live for the stress. There was a sermon by one of my pastors in the book of Revelation, believe it or not, and it changed my life. He read a passage out of Revelation that said, "Cowardly shall not inherit the kingdom of God." And I realized I was a big fat coward. And a lot of it had to do with being very, very abusive married. At the time, I was married to a cop. I think that should be enough said. Very controlled in a very fundamentalist church, which controlled women. So it wasn't entirely my fault, but I was convicted that I wasn't brave. And I was convinced at that time that being brave meant that you didn't have any fear, and I knew that was never going to happen. But I've come to realize that fearless people aren't brave. They're just stupid. You can only be brave if you're scared. Otherwise, what sacrifice? No character is it? Ooh, I got a roast beef sandwich, so we'll see how this is. I don't even know how I got to that. So, the confrontation stuff does not come naturally to me. It makes me very frightened, but I do it because it's the right thing to do most of the time, not all the time. And because the cowardly shall not inherit the kingdom of God. Yeah. So, looking back on the past, remember, The first suspension motion came June 18th. So what, July, August, September, October. We're almost 5 months out. Would I do it all again? I'd change a couple things. But yeah, I'd do it all again. It was the right thing to do. And so in the D. Frank Robinson leaves, this is not just my impression. I've gotten dozens of phone calls and emails. And that's been stressing me out. Everyone's reading D. Frank the same way I am. That the decision is going to be against me, and that D. Frank is in the minority opinion, and he's pissed off about it. So I guess if I got to lose my JC case, losing with the party founder on your side, it could be worse. You know, it could be worse. Frank's on my side when it comes to due process. Frankly, I question the libertarianism of anyone who's not on my side on the due process thing. I honestly do. And I don't do that often, though. Ever since COVID, I've been doing that more and more. I don't believe in like the no true libertarian thing, but that is so foundational. And that includes all the 11 LNC members. Now, not all of them voted against due process. Some of them voted in favor of my point of order. I have to go and look at the names. But the ones who voted against due process, I will make it my LP mission to make sure they are never, ever in a leadership position of authority over anyone else again, to harm anyone else. Now all leadership positions have authority over other people. But if they have the authority to deny somebody else due process, I will do my best to make sure they can never do that to anyone again. How any libertarian could look themselves in the face and deny due process. And I think it's very clear our bylaws and Roberts require it. But let's say you didn't think our bylaws and Roberts required it. One thing nobody disputes, it doesn't prohibit it. You can always give more than's required. And those bastards voted to not even do that. What were they scared of? How can we, with a straight face, say to the world they need to give due process when we don't even do it? And D. Frank has a burr under his saddle under the exact same thing, the due process issue. You don't even get to the facts until you get past due process. But I don't think I won on that. And that's a shame. Again, I'm guessing. I could be completely wrong. I should win on that. That actually is the most political decision for the JC to make. I don't think they should be a political body. There's a very political, expedient decision for them to make. And that is to not even get to the facts, to reverse on due process and tell the LNC, you want to convict her, do it the right way. Yeah, you are the most controversial guy in Virginia right now, Dean. Bad boy. You're competing with me. I swear libertarians are not happy until they're killing one of their own, aren't they? I'm really upset that Joe Pascal, excuse me, I said it with a Q, resigned and quit the party. Hopefully he'll be back. Sorry for eating on camera. I know a lot of people do this on YouTube, but I'm starving. Good roast beef. Good my time. But this JC thing has me in knots. The evidence against me is bullshit. I never wanted to be, like, there are some things I would say I wanted to be this. Like, I would have, there were some ways I'd love to be a historical party figure. Like in closing the back door on the statement of principles. I'm very proud that I'm a figure in party history for that. I'm very proud that I'm a figure in party history for preserving party history. I never wanted to be a figure in party history to be like this test case for the mettle of our party. I'm going to be remembered more for this judicial committee thing than anything else. And that just sucks. And if this JC rubber stamps the LNC, this is a very dark day in our party. And if things don't change in Reno, it very well could be the beginning of the end. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with the issues. These sorts of issues are even in the courts right now, because what's going on boards of directors of public universities, and I actually wrote to the Institute for Free Speech to let them know about my case, and I'd be more than glad to show you guys the PM, because the LNC loves to accuse me of threatening to sue them. I'd never sue the party. Why? Because it wouldn't harm the LNC, it would harm the members. And I'd never harm the members. So the cases that are going on in the federal courts right now are whether political dissidents on public university boards have the right in their private life to criticize their board members. Does this sound familiar? And it's a really big issue right now, because what they're criticizing their fellow board members about are like COVID and things like that. It's so familiar. Because that's what I'm being punished for, you know. Well, let me put it to you this way. The LNC in their vote couldn't even agree on what they were removing me for. What a clown car. Some of them said it was for indecorum. John Phillips made it clear it wasn't, because he's far more indecorous than I am. Well, how can you both be voting on the same thing when you can't even agree on what you're removing me for? But what I'm being removed for is whistleblowing for New Hampshire and whistleblowing that the LNC was in complete dereliction of its duty when it came to COVID. Now, where things went a little wrong, and you can assign some blame to me, and blame is a really weird word here, because you can't look at actions in isolation. You have to look at everything that led up to them. I did absolutely nothing wrong in calling out the LNC about COVID. Nothing wrong. I repent of nothing. I did absolutely nothing wrong in calling out what happened in New Hampshire. I repent of nothing. I am proud that I caused Joe Bishop to resign, the corrupt bastard. I will never repent of that. But after those, with the way I was attacked by the rest of the LNC, there are actions I took after that that I wish I hadn't, or reactions. But you can't look at them in isolation. So the way I was treated after calling them out for COVID and after New Hampshire, I was backed into a corner. I felt like a trapped animal, and trapped animals will attack. So while I could say that I wish some of my reactions were better after those incidents, I don't really know that they could be, because I was being dogpiled at that point and gaslit the absolute hell out of them. And while I am super, super stressed right now, I am mentally much healthier than I was when those people were gaslighting me. And then they tried to say in the Judicial Committee hearing I was gaslighting them. Oh my God, peak gaslighting. And yeah, Sean Grothy mentioned my ballot selfie thing. I've done a lot of things that I'm very proud of. I never wanted to be the test case for the mettle of the Libertarian Party on due process and the non-aggression principle. How dare they? You want to know what I have to say to them? I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm unapologetic about this. You want to know what I have to say to them? Accusing me of breaking the non-aggression principle? I'm a pacifist. That's what I have to say to them. That's not what the non-aggression principle is about. How dare they? How dare they? Yeah, I got a potty mouth, and I shoot people the bird. Guilty. Non-aggression principle? No. Why do I sometimes have very strident speech? Because I'm a non-violent person. And non-violent people tend to be very strident in their speech because that's the farthest they will ever go. They will never throw blows. I'm a religious pacifist. And yeah, Dean, for those of you who don't know, and I know some people will disagree on this, and that's fine. They can disagree on it, but it's nothing to run somebody out of the party over. Both Joe, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Dean, and Dean, there's ballot access in Virginia is very, very difficult. And there was no Libertarian running for governor. And that was a hotly contested race between a terrible Democrat and a less terrible Republican. And the chair and the vice chair of Virginia, not as the Libertarian Party of Virginia, but in their personal lives, they are allowed to have personal lives, said they voted for the Republican. And Joe Pascal ran out of the party for that. There wasn't a Libertarian running. Now, would I have done that? Probably not, but who cares? It isn't about me. There's nothing wrong with what they did. They weren't endorsing them as the Libertarian Party of Virginia, and I took a video of me filling out my ballot. Now, it was a nonpartisan race, but I voted for Republican school board candidates because my husband researched them and said they were the best candidates. Now, there were no Libertarians. There was a former Libertarian running as a Democrat, but there were no Libertarians running. Are they going to go after me for that now? Listen, you're an American citizen as well as an LP representative. And if there's no Libertarian in the race, I'm sorry. Those people are free to vote their conscience, and they're free to say who they voted for. That's political free speech. That's not an endorsement, particularly when there's no Libertarian in the race. Now, me, I probably wouldn't have voted in the race. That's just me, because I'm an anarchist. The only reason I vote for Libertarians is to support the party. I'm an anarchist. I don't even believe in voting. Listen, Joe and I have a long history together. Joe and I aren't always BFF. He'll tell you that. We've fought like cats and dogs, but I respect the man. He's living proof of you don't have to be a yes man to either one of us to remain friends over years. I've known Joe ever since the Montana party when Mike Fellows passed away, when they were about to fall apart, and I went up there as a regional representative to see what I could do. And he lost a race to somebody he shouldn't have lost to. He was the much more Libertarian candidate. And I think that guy now, I can't remember his name. Holy crap. I'll remember it in a minute. I'm not good with names sometimes. I think he's now a Democrat. But you had every right to do that, Dean. You had every right to do that. And don't you get run out of the party for it. It'd have been different if there's a Libertarian in the race. Ballot access is so hard in Virginia. And correct me if I'm wrong, that was a historic win, wasn't it, for the Republican to win in Virginia? I'm not that familiar with Virginia politics, so forgive me. I thought that was one of the races I saw on the news here that was like a big upset, that in New Jersey. So I do hope Joe comes back. I want to see him in his gorilla suit again at convention. So this JC thing has just got me on edge. Our child wrote a great brief that, and I agree with him here, and this is why I call myself a Robert's Rules heretic. There's a certain spirit to the rules and a spirit to our bylaws that I think is much more important than the letter. Because you can't possibly include everything in the letter, particularly when you factor in bad actors, because never underestimate the creativity of evil. Like, look what we've seen in Delaware. And to think that our bylaws didn't intend due process is just disgusting. and I'm going to call out names here. Aaron Adams actually said, if our bylaws are immoral, we have to follow them because they're the law. They're the bylaws. I puked in my mouth. Any LNC member that says that should never be on the LNC. Hey, H-Burden. I'm probably hanging out here a bit. Somebody shared a photo of me. Uh-oh. Sorry, I'm so distracted. Somebody lost a pet. So sad. We don't deserve dogs. Keep covering my mouth because I just think it's rude to chew on camera. I don't know much, but I never make myself chew on camera. And Dean, I'm probably going to be in Virginia for your convention. Hey, your chair now. You can get me there. You can get me there for sure. Do you need a parliamentarian? Get me there. I'll be your parliamentarian for free. Just got to get me there and give me board. I volunteer my services as parliamentarian. I was parliamentarian for the Libertarian Party of Florida last year. I was parliamentarian for the Libertarian Party of Kansas last year. I think I'm going to become, I think I've been offered, and I volunteer. I never charge libertarians. I'm studying to become, yeah, let me know, Dean. I would love to be your convention parliamentarian. I was the parliamentarian for the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania, and it was a very contentious convention, and both sides vouch that I was eminently fair. I don't do the factional shit. And Pennsylvania was very contentious between Mises and the non-Mises. And what worked out very well there is the non-Mises people saw that I was being fair, and the Mises people, because they respect me, even when I advised the chair against their interest, they accepted it because they knew it wasn't coming from malice. And then the year prior to that, I was the convention parliamentarian for the Libertarian Party of New York. A lot of people don't know why I'm wanting to get my registered parliamentarian certificate. 2 reasons. Number one, I want to donate my time to libertarians. I will never charge libertarians. I'll charge the hell out of some Republicans or Democrats or whatever other party. I do want to work as a parliamentarian, but I'll never charge libertarians. And I think I'm going to be offered the board parliamentarian position at the LP of Florida, where I'll attend their monthly board meetings and assist them. It's always good to have someone at your convention who's your convention parliamentarian that's not a member of your state party. Or if they're a member of your state party, they're so uninvolved they don't have a dog in the race. Like the guy we always have in Colorado is Mark Goddard. He's fantastic. He's a libertarian, but he dropped out of active politics a long time ago. So he's not factional at all, even though he's a Colorado guy. And I'm going to be serving this year as the parliamentarian for the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire as well. And I hope Florida asks me back again. Though it was the Florida convention last year where the whole New Hampshire shit went down. But let me know, Dean. If so, you guys have me for the whole weekend. Otherwise, I'm going to be splitting my time between Virginia and California. Because I'm campaigning my ass off. Sorry. Get a drink. Most weekends, if I'm not a speaker or their parliamentarian, I will be going to one convention on Saturday and one on Sunday. That's what I'm doing this weekend. I'm in Vermont tomorrow and New York Sunday. The next convention I'm going to, that's a double weekend. January 15th, I think it is. I'm in Arizona on Saturday, Georgia on Sunday. Like, it's just going to be boom, boom, boom like that. And Susan, I still got to write my speech. I'm always a last minute person with that, though. I actually don't have to write anything. I will. I'll outline. My best speech are unscripted. Like, most people say my best speech ever was Pork Fest. I planned none of that. That was all contemporaneous. I had a couple things I had on a notepad to be sure to touch upon, but other than that, it wasn't scripted. It wasn't scripted at all. And I have to thank Will Coley for that, because he's the one who broke me in my. I used to be very fearful public speaker. I almost fainted at my wedding. The poor pastor was looking at me like, please don't faint, please don't faint. I used to be terrified of public speaking. But I'm going to write some points out for Vermont for sure, because I know Archie's probably very nervous about me being there. But the speech I'm planning on giving is going to be very similar to the one I did in Kansas. And the one I did in Kansas had people crying, grown men crying. Whoa. Uh-oh. Sorry. Waste of a drink. I have a drinking problem. I just spilled them. It spilled my drink everywhere. So yeah, I think I'm going to do that one. Yeah, and H. Reardon, I hope you enjoyed the Pork Fest speech. I enjoyed giving it. I didn't know Nick Sarwark was filming me like a fucking CIA agent in the background now. Little did I know what was going to happen after that. Yeah, they were crying in Kansas. So I think there's a little kiosk here. There is. Hold on, I'm gonna move my sandwich aside. I need to order another drink. Oh fuck. Hold on. Oh my god, I'm making such a mess. It's not even funny. I should just the most klutzy person in the entire world. Any other autists here know we tend to be very, very klutzy. And they have like little iPads here you can order on, and I dropped it in the middle of the drink that spilled all over the place. Oops. So I'm just trying to be low key here, and everyone thinks I'm talking to myself. Not that I care. When you have bright pink hair, you really don't notice people looking at you very often. So I'm not going to say that I'm going to have people crying in Vermont. But I wanted to give a touchy-feely type speech because I know Archie is expecting me to come in and be very, child labor laws or something. And, that's not my style. While I'll defend that, because an affiliate has a right to say that, that's never been my style. Okay. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to cover in all of this. I was more, though, just wanted to hang out with everyone and just confess my sins of the past 2 days. Yeah, I haven't been my best. And today, I just really jumped down a few people's throats. And I'm not going to say who publicly because they didn't ask to be called out. But if they write me, I'll obviously, own it. But yeah, the stress has gotten to me. And it's not fair to take it out on other people. But I have to tell you, I'm moving beyond being depressed about what I anticipate as a probable loss in the JC to getting very, very angry. And D. Frank nailed. I'm going to read some of his posts. He's gotten a little weird, and I told him he's gotten a little weird, so I'm not gossiping. But he's nailed it, man. I want to read some of his posts. He's been on the warpath. Everyone go to D. Frank Robinson's page. He's been on the warpath about due process. But there's something he said. I'm going to try to find it here. Okay, here's what he said. He was speaking of somebody else whose name, it's not important right now. I said, has led me to believe that the LNC's action against the National Secretary was an attempt at a psychological catharsis. Politics truly is a hostile work environment because it's designed to provoke catharsis and recapitulation to simulate one's control over their life. Oh my God, that was so insightful. Dustin Anna said this at the suspension hearing. He said you are her because she's holding a mirror up to you. And you don't like what you see in that mirror. So instead of changing yourself, you're attacking the mirror bearer. They knew they were being ineffective and cowardly on COVID, and they didn't like that I showed it to them. They knew that they were being ineffective and cowardly on New Hampshire, and they didn't like that I showed it to them. So rather than deal with their own issues, they attacked me. Believe me, I deal with my own issues every day. I'm well aware of my faults. But D. Frank, for not being somebody living through that, ooh, he nailed it. I was the sacrificial lamb. I was the ritual sacrifice. And I will not back down from saying what those people did was evil. And again, that is not saying I was perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect victim, by the way. Evil. Evil. John Phillips is starting to see it. One day he's going to try to apologize to me. And as a Christian, I'll have to forgive him, but I'll never forget. Ever. There's a book. Who wrote it? His name was John something. And it was originally about that chick who was on the plane who made that joke. It was a very bad taste joke on Twitter where she joked about how she was traveling to Africa and said, hope I don't get AIDS. Never mind, I'm white. I won't get AIDS type thing. Like just a really terrible joke. But she wasn't a racist. She was just being stupid. I think the book was called So You've Been Publicly Shamed. And just talking about the power of the mob and the psychological warfare it is once they, John Ronson, once they pick out their sacrificial victim. Boy, do I understand that now. And some people have gotten mad at me when they're like, and my husband is mad at me because he's gotten a lot of crap in Colorado. He's gotten a lot of weird attacks in Colorado over the past year. And he's like, oh, I understand what you're going through. Like, no, you don't. And there's things that other people are going through. People who have a child that's dying of cancer. Like, I can never understand that. But don't pretend like you understand and humiliated in front of the whole fucking nation. You don't know what I'm going through. The human mind isn't capable of processing that people all over the world know about, like, what's going on with you. Like, our reptile brains aren't equipped for that. And it is a mind fuck. But let me tell you something. And this isn't vindictive. This is just education. But this bitch will have the last laugh. People, because you want to know what? I'm writing a book about this shit. You want to know whose names will be remembered? Okay. My political assassins. I'm going to immortalize you. So perhaps I should thank them. I've been wanting to know what my second book was going to be. A lot of you don't know that I've already written a book. It has nothing to do with politics. I wrote a book on theology that did moderately well in its little niche. But when I'm done with my stint on the LNC, I am definitely writing a book. I already know the title of it. You want to know what I'm going to call it? Here's the title of my book. Endurance. Perfect. Might take me a while. It took me 10 years to write my other book. But I hope you guys are ready to be immortalized. Sue me. Ridiculous. And then when people say, oh my God, you're airing the LP's dirty laundry, or you're airing our faults. Yeah, I am. You want to know why? Because faults in secret fester. The only way you cure faults is by bringing them into the light. I don't expose the party's faults to harm the party. I expose the party's faults to the party. And the arrogance of the LC to think they are the party. They're not the party. You guys are the party, not them. And not me when I was there. That's good. Good recipe. I need to order another drink, but I'm still not like inconspicuous enough yet. But I'm probably going to be writing a book on party history as well, though. More innocuous. But I'm going to definitely be writing a book about my LNC experiences. Not just this whole JC thing, but being a woman in politics, being an autistic woman in politics, in independent politics. I mean, there's a lot of angles to go down. Okay, I don't know if there was really, I haven't heard any Brandon camps. Maybe we can get one started here, huh? What time is it? Oh, God, it's already, did I turn off airplane mode? I did, so it's already 5:22, so I'm boarding in now 3 hours. So I've passed quite a bit of time here. So, yeah, I'll get nice and, oh, it'll be a tell up. Weird, and when do I ever hold back? It'll be a while, though. I wouldn't do it while I was still on the LNC. Not that I'm on the LNC right now. But I'll be back. Well, I think I'm going to... I don't know if there's really anything else I wanted to say. If there's anything else you guys want to talk about. And start writing the outline for Vermont. Hopefully somebody will film it. And anyone who's in Syracuse or in Burlington, or I think the Vermont Convention, I know that's where I'm flying into. I hope to see you. This is basically Well, Tom Woods, I guess, was the kickoff to my campaign, but as far as like Libertarian Party stuff, this is like the kickoff. And I'll be traveling my ass off. Oh, I'm going to tell you what grinds my gears. In some ways, I've been very unfair to Tim. I've been very hard on Tim Hagen. And I regret that. But in other ways, I don't. So I'm not like taking away with one hand what I give with the other. The things I regret in a different way than the things I don't. I regret being bitchy. I don't regret the resentment because he's one of the terrible votes who didn't even bother to try to talk to me personally, even though I cornered him. And here's the fact. My suspension isn't complete. You want to know what the LNC is trying to do right now? They're unpersoning me, which is even worse than the suspension. I already did all of the work for the delegate allotment. But instead of using the work I started that I was duly elected to do, Tim just reinvented the wheel. That's just so disrespectful. And I'm not removed yet. And I'm still doing all the work. If I were in his position and I was serving as Secretary Pro Tem in such a difficult situation, A, I wouldn't want to reinvent the wheel because that's dumb. And two, I would involve that person still. Like, I don't know why he just doesn't use my work. I was the one elected. You weren't. And I'm just deeply, deeply resentful about that. And I don't make any apologies for that. But I do make apologies for sometimes not being the kindest person. But the whole LNC is trying to deperson me, except for, my few allies. It's just ridiculous. It is so petty. These petty little princesses have no place in our national leadership. I'll take somebody who's rough around the edges and says fuck one too many times than a petty little princess. And we fucked up. We fucked up when we elected a new chair. Hey, I ranked Whitney last, so I take no responsibility for it. But I didn't rank her last because I thought she would be bad. Can't pretend like that's why I ranked her last. I ranked her last because she wouldn't resign so soon. Now it turns out she's probably the worst of all candidates we could have picked. That isn't why I ranked her last. We had some really good candidates who all promised to bring peace. And who did we elect? The one person who brought division. Tony D'Orazio, Chuck Moulton, Chris Thrasher, Steve Dasbach. Things would be much different today. We fucked up. She's a terrible national chair. She might be great in Texas. I don't know. Texas isn't my business. She's a terrible national chair. She's changed. I supported her for national chair against Joe Bishop Henson if she wanted to run. She was great last term. But just divisive was not what we needed right now, was not what we needed after Joe Bishop Henson. I don't remember who my first choice was. Well, no, I do. My first choice was Joshua Smith because he was the second choice of the delegates. But after Joshua, out of the new people, my first choice was Chris Thrasher. I thought he could bring peace. And then I think after that was Chuck Moulton. She's just brought strife to the party. Could have been so much different. Needed a certain kind of leader, and we did not elect that kind of leader. She'd probably be a very good chair in a time of peace, but not in this kind of time of turmoil. She's terrible. All right. Hopefully the book will not exceed the number of pages of Atlas Shrugged. Hopefully not. Interested in y'all's opinion, though. If you agree with me that we picked the wrong chair. You don't have to agree with me. I don't have anything invested in that because I like Whitney as a person. I just don't care for her as a chair. In this time. Again, I think she'd probably be a very good chair in a time of peace. I need another drink, definitely. I'm just giving y'all a few moments to comment while I'm finishing my sandwich. Good food here at the airport. I'm almost done. Oh, before I go. Before I go. What I was going to say, sorry, I'm just really distracted. I've got a little bit of ADHD, if you haven't noticed, like there's just too much going on. My little grifting message down at the bottom, as I do at the beginning of each month, there's always a little bit of attrition with people whose financial situation has changed. If you would like to support the work that I do, I would truly appreciate it. I have a $20 a month shortfall to make up to get back to where I was in October, and then I can work on in November. If you can assist in that, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. But if not, not everyone can at this point in my life. I'm not at a point where I'm supporting other things, so I get it. But if you can, I would truly appreciate it. All right, I'm broadcasting directly out of Restream, so there's none of the intros, outros, none of that fancy stuff. I'm going to be going. I'm going to have another drink. I'm going to work on my Vermont outline and maybe live stream a bit later. But I do feel better with the true confessions that I have not been at my best today. Yeah, I was a little bitchy. Not proud of it. All right, everyone.